Put my food together. Okay.
Judy, everything's up and running, so if you want John to give the rules of the road, well,
Sure.
great. And then you can get started.
Welcome. If this is your first time joining us virtually, you will notice that you are currently muted and everyone will remain muted throughout the meeting, except the committee co-chairs and any presenters as we move through the agenda. Following the presentations, as we move through the agenda, the co-chairs will call on members of the public wishing to speak. You can participate by going to the react icon on your device and pressing the raised hand button, not the wave or thumbs up, because those will disappear. Only press it once. If you press the raise hand button a second time, it will put your hand down. If you're calling on your phone, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. Be on the lookout for a prompt asking you to confirm unmuting once the co-chairs call on you. The chat is available for technical support only to help throughout the Zoom, to help with any problems, not to ask questions to the co-chairs. They will not be able to see the chats. If you are using an older version of Zoom, you will need to go to the participants section where you will find the raise hand feature there. Please do not hesitate to please do not raise your actual hand or wave at the screen because we are not going to be able to see it. If you need any support, chat with me in chat.
Thank you, John. I'm Judy Schneider, co-chair of the Parks Committee, and tonight I'm all you get because my other co-chair, Felice Farber, is away on a business trip, so she won't and does not have access to join the meeting. So the first item we have tonight is we'd like to welcome our Manhattan Borough Commissioner, Tricia Shimamura, and she's going to present on programs that are available in the Parks Department that may be some items that we're not aware of. Trish, it's all yours.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you guys. So just a little bit of background. Thank you again for inviting me. This is my home board. I'm a very proud Upper East Side resident. I used to chair this committee. I know many of you for a really long time, and it's really always lovely to see you here and to be even virtually back with my neighbors and my friends. And it kind of was out of this that I think this item came up. I did a little info session with Lori Borres and another committee on CB8, and I was going on some wild tangent talking about rec centers. And I think that Felice and Judy kind of saw my enthusiasm for talking about all of these pieces of parks that I just still was kind of learning about. And so they invited me to just come and share a little bit more about some of the stuff that you may not know or realize is still part of the Parks Department. So this is like the kind of happy and very like kind of positive stuff, but I wrote down some of my favorite components that I figured I'd just share with you guys. And I'm doing this at no other community board. But it's really just kind of feelings like I'm going back to my living room and talking to all of my like neighbors and being like, did you know that this is happening? So please indulge me for just a couple minutes. But so I'll start with what I said before, our rec centers. I realize that Community Board 8 does not have a rec center in our district, but we are so close to two really good ones. One at Thomas Jefferson, right at around 112th Street, and then one at Constance Baker Motley at 54th Street, so not too far away. And I don't know if you know this, but just for $150 if you are per year, $150 per year, if you are between the ages of 25 and 61, then you have access to all of our rec centers. And if you want to go to a rec center with a pool and just want to go to that rec center with a pool, then it's just $100 per year. And if you are over the age of 62, or somebody who is a person with disabilities or is a veteran, then it's only $25 a year, which frankly, you can't even go out to dinner with another person for $25. So to get access to all of our rec centers, including the rec centers with a pool for an entire year, is kind of amazing to me. And I would just love to see more people take advantage of it. I think it's really cool. If you're under the age of 24, so truly, or I'm sorry, yeah, under the age of 24, then our rec center membership is completely free. So all of the high school students that you know out there, all of those college students out there who are maybe interested in having access to fitness centers, to Zumba classes, to yoga classes, to kickboxing, to all of the amazing things that we offer in our rec centers, you can do so for free. It's an amazing service, and I would highly recommend that you take advantage of it. I thought about two other pieces of our portfolio that we don't really talk about that much. And I wanted to also highlight one for like our young people and then one for everybody. So for our young people, I wanted to say that, I don't know if you know this, but our Urban Park Ranger program, which we call UPR, the guys and women who like show up in the big Smokey the Bear hat and show up maybe sometimes at various events, and they're, in uniform and they look really sharp. They actually do what's called the natural classroom, which is where they will either visit students in a K-8 school, or they will invite classrooms to come visit them in a park and do some really incredible education-based programming around plants, urban wildlife, ecosystems, geology, and history. And they have a pretty thoughtfully designed program that really goes through a real kind of like curriculum that's just nothing short of amazing. I'm actually trying to encourage my son's public school to take advantage of the same thing right now. But it's just something to keep in mind that, like, in addition to trying to care and maintain our park system, in addition to our recreation centers, which are just out of this world, we also do this entire like curriculum, academic based park ranger program, where we really are bringing the park system into the classroom and really helping students start draw the connection between environmental sustainability, between urban wildlife, and kind of all those other pieces to it. Highly, highly, highly recommend. And as soon as my son's class takes advantage of it, I promise I'll bring back pictures to show them. And happy to answer questions about it. And then finally, I thought the third piece that I would just share with you is that little do many people, including myself, know that the park system is home and responsible for caring for many historic houses or historic structures. And as luck would have it, Manhattan has the most. We have 6 historic structures that fall under kind of these very landmarked landmark structures that require very specific care and maintenance. I'm curious, Judy Schneider, since you are unmuted, if you could name just one of our historic houses that are in the borough of Manhattan.
Well, I can, there's one up on the Upper West Side. I can't think of the name.
There is, but we actually have one in CB8.
We do.
There's a hint. Mm-hmm.
Well, the one nearest me is the Mount Vernon Museum, but that's not a park. This is park property you're talking about.
Yeah. This is Will knows. Go ahead.
Okay.
Gracie Mansion.
Gracie Mansion.
Right. Okay.
Good. Does anybody else, just out of curiosity, can guess of any of the other 5 in Manhattan? Will, don't guess.
Oh.
It may be too difficult to unmute, so I'll just share. So we have, so just for some of your trivia, maybe if you're doing a holiday trivia night in the future, I'll just tell you Manhattan's other 6, Manhattan says 6. Gracie Mansion being one of them. Little Red Lighthouse on.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I didn't know if that was park property.
It is a structure, and it is a park property, and it is a famous children's book has been written about it, but it is there. The Swedish Cottage, where they do marionette theater over there, right in Central Park. I'm sure if you have children, you know that's one of them as well. Merchant's House. Downtown, which is the first landmarked building. I think the first landmarked building in New York City. Dyckman Farmhouse to the north, and then Morris Jumel Mansion, which is also
That was the one that I couldn't think the name of.
That's the one.
Yeah.
What does this mean to you? Well, first of all, if you consider yourself a parkie or you consider yourself somebody who wants to support New York City parks, I would highly recommend you spend an afternoon visiting one of our historic houses. They are amazing. They are taken care of by a combination of conservancies and the Parks Department, also an arm of the Parks Department that's called the Historic House Trust, which is kind of the liaison between parks formally and the public. They all offer tours. They all offer some incredible programming. You can take it since Gracie Mansion is literally in CB8's district. You can go to the Gracie Mansion Conservancy website. You can sign yourself up for a tour. I happened to take a look beforehand. You can go there in the next 2 weeks. They have tour openings. I highly recommend you ask them to see the dining room because the wallpaper in there is like hand painted and it's just kind of crazy to look at. It's stunning. But also, I did also look at the Swedish Cottage and Marionette Theater because that's also not too far away, just a stroll across Central Park. They do puppet theater over there. My kids, both of them love it. It's just incredible. And they are doing shows, I think it's like Sunday through Thursday or something like that every week. And they are a part of the Parks Department portfolio, something that's really quite incredible. And I would really recommend if this committee is ever looking for like a detailed deep dive, I think it'd be really cool to invite Historic House Trust to come and do a little bit deeper dive into like what they do and how they maintain their portfolio. It's really incredible and kind of requires a very specialized skill set. I'm also trying to go to Borough Board and Borough Service Cabinet with this information just because I think it's great that Manhattan has the most, and it really shows a underappreciated and a little bit unknown kind of piece to the portfolio. So I see Barbara has a question. I don't know, Judy, we'll defer to you.
Sure. Go right ahead, Barbara.
Just the Pan Quotidian in Central Park, I believe, is a landmark, right?
Oh, I don't know. It may be landmark, but it's not the same type of landmark. We have a lot of like landmarked parks and landmark structures. These are like very specific, and it may be because Pan Quotidian. I don't know. It can't be the same.
Pan Quotidian was coming from the Parks Committee years ago to be fixed. It had to go through the landmarks also.
A part of the reason to get into the Historic House Trust, though, is that you have to be open to the public. So in order to like be a part of our historic house program, it's not just that you're a landmark, because there are landmarks throughout our park system, but it's also that you provide public tours, public programming. There's got to be like a public element to it as well.
As opposed to buying a sandwich.
Yep. So that may also be part of it. So, which also just, I hope, encourages everybody to visit these sites, because a part of the gig here is that you're doing things for the public.
Okay, Rita.
That's interesting.
John, can we unmute Rita?
Hi, good to see you, Tricia.
Hi, Rita. Good to hear from you too.
Jamel Mansion and Gracie Mansion are a must-see. Elizabeth Ashby had a group called the Public Defenders of the Upper East Side, and I toured with them for both of these, and it was incredible.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear. I will put in a special plug, since you already did, for Morris Jumel, because in the next year, we're going to be doing some roof reconstruction. So it's going to be closed to the public for some time. So best to get in your tour between now and I think like the end of next summer, because that's really when reconstruction is going to start. It's going to be good. We need a roof that works. But thank you for putting a plug in there. And Hamilton Grange is a historic house, but it's not New York City. It's not a New York City one. It's, I think, New York State.
But aside from all of that, which we all love, I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question. Do you have any idea of where Woodward Park, I mean, I'm going to go to my grave saying, did they do Rupert Park yet?
Yep.
Uh,
I knew you were going to ask, Rita. You should ask. You should continue to ask. You know this. This is Rupert Park is still moving through the process. It is the SWIP process that is the slowest part for us. We are continuing to beat this drum. I promise you that as soon as we get through the process, I will probably send out a blast text to everybody I know, because we are trying to get through that SWIP process. The SWIP process, just so everybody kind of knows, if anybody doesn't know this process, this is where, because of Rupert Park's size and because of kind of relatively new regulations when it comes to DEP, SWIP is like waste water, like water mitigation sort of thing. I'm forgetting the actual acronym, and forgive me, I'm still learning here, but essentially now when we do any sort of large park renovation, it has to go through some extra review and approvals from DEP to make sure that we're appropriately dealing with water, particularly with a site like Rupert. That was always going to be something of a bit of a, like a real conversation with the different agencies to sign off. We already had one attempt to go through this. We are in the middle of, I think, a second attempt. Not that it is going to take this long, but we've had other parks projects that have gone through a couple of rounds of this. So we're eagerly kind of waiting to hear back more information. But trust me, I definitely hear it. I know. I lived right on, I lived right on 90th Street, 90th and First. So I know this area very well. And I'm eager to see this move forward, but we will keep on it for sure.
we are the only people who refer to this park as Rupert Park. Everybody else refers to it as the dog park.
Mm.
And so,
Okay, Rita, I think Sheena might even have a little more information in her update on that,
oh, good.
which will make you happy.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for the commissioner?
So let me just say, I'm going to stay around, but Judy, I noticed on your agenda just now that you didn't have me talking about pickleball at Carl Schurz. Do you want me to hold off on that until next month?
Well, you can talk about it if you're ready to go ahead. I mean, no, Felice and I met with you,
Yep.
But if you're ready, go right ahead.
I can, and I can also come back next month too, so it's not a big deal. But it wasn't. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that it wasn't on the agenda. But I did want to talk about another issue. So always happy to talk about Rupert, because I talk about it with our capital team essentially every week when I meet with them. But I also wanted to talk about Carl Schurz Park. So this is one that we also just recently have been having kind of multiple conversations with Judy, with Felice, with your leadership, with Valerie and others about. The long and short here is that we've been having a number of complaints come to us around kind of the overall behavior happening at Carl Schurz pickleball courts. It's concerning. There are some police reports involved in this. It's just overall create the kind of whole situation creates a lot of tension. I have a short illustration. Judy, do you mind if I share my screen?
Go right ahead.
It says I'm disabled from sharing screen.
John, could you handle that, please?
You can now.
Great, thank you. Okay, this is a very short presentation, and I am not generally somebody who uses PowerPoint to present, so bear with me here. But essentially, we all know what we're talking about here. This is the little area here. This is what we currently have. A couple of years ago, not under me, under Anthony Perez, Parks had put in some painted lines down for 3 pickleball courts. The situation right now is that in order to play pickleball on these courts, the nets, which you see in this picture, are totally temporary or removable. People bring their own nets, they set them up, and then you play on them. For a lot of reasons, and we've had a lot of conversations about this. Judy knows this. There's a lot of questions around trying to alleviate some of the tension. Excuse me. In this area around just general, who plays when, who's saving courts, how long do you have the courts, yada, 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 all of those above. And so after many conversations, we've come up with this idea that parks would actually install our own removable nets. We would put them in with sleeves in the ground where they could be installed at the beginning of a season, just like we do tennis. And then we would remove them at the end of the season so that they're not up forever. We'd also then, if you see at the end there, we'd put a removable gate just with one panel at the very end there. That's because keeping in mind that this is still a multi-purpose play area, it would allow for people to, it would allow for just like a little bit of safety if a kid on a scooter, my kid on his scooter, goes running around that area, they would be able to see that there's a barrier and see that they'll have a little bit of a divide between the poles and where he or she or they may ride. And we're hoping that with this, plus with some signage, just encouraging some good sportsmanship, general guidelines for play. They wouldn't be rules because we don't permit pickleball the way that we do tennis or other things. We're hoping that it may alleviate some tension and give folks a little bit of a sense of a little bit more order here. This is really a proposal. We don't have to do that, but I am concerned about some of the safety concerns that are happening over here. And I think the last time I came to this board meeting, people had questions around this as well. So this is kind of what we've been thinking about this year. We just, given the weather and given the change here, I think that this would all happen potentially next year in the spring. But welcome your thoughts and ideas and feedback.
Okay, and so of course the first hand I'm going to see is Phyllis Wallach. So Phyllis, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Judy, and thank you, Tricia. This is great. So these removable nets, these are the ones we're bringing, or is the parks going to start supplying nets?
So this is, I want to just be very careful around this because I'm not really crazy about the fact that this is a little bit of a pilot. I'm not doing this for any other part of the borough. So nor do I have the funding to do it for the entire borough. But in this particular situation, given the kind of concerns that have come to us, this would be something that parks would be funding.
Okay, so to follow up on that, because we're having some vandalism issues, as I'm sure you're aware, with the we currently have up on the Esplanade. And one of the things I think that's really important, I did reach out to Friends of Esplanade, but I never heard back, is getting a camera installed in the area, especially if we're going to have parks put up nets. I think it's going to be important to protect those nets, and video cameras are really the best way to go.
So I'll tell you that parks is generally we're not opposed to cameras in the parks, but we always do so in coordination with the police department. It's something that I don't have funding for, and would generally look to.
How much funding would that be? Because I'd be happy to start an effort to get that, because I think it's really important.
I'm going to have to come back to you. It really depends. I'm talking in some other conversations, but I'm hesitant to give you a number because I don't actually know. And it depends on if there's electricity around or if it's solar powered. It has all these kind of qualifier pieces to it.
Yeah, I believe there was a camera. It looks like there was a camera on the pole right north of 84th Street, where right near where the bins are, facing the basketball court and the pickleball court. So I think there is electricity there. There's a light there, and there might have been a camera there at one point.
Yeah, electricity. I'm sorry, I should clarify. So it's not just electricity, but it's like amount of power that a camera needs. And there's like all these. I'm only learning about this just recently, to tell you the truth, for a park that's not in this neighborhood. But it's a whole new. I say this also because you know this, Phyllis. I'm just in this position just for about 6 months now or so. So I'm still. It's like every day I'm learning something new. Unfortunately, the last few days I've been learning about fires, which has not been the most fun topic. But In terms of cameras, there's a whole range. We can definitely have a follow-up conversation. And if you'd like me to come back next month, I'm happy to talk about this. But like, there is a difference in terms of power needs, in terms of like what we're talking about. If it's one camera, if it's two cameras, if it's solar powered, if we're looking for motion sensor cameras or things like that, if it's recording footage or if it's sending it, if it's only going off when we detect activity at a certain time. All of those kind of pieces are slightly different. And like I said, we always do so in coordination with the PD. So I'm happy to go back. I'll talk to the 19th. I can, Sheena, I think, is on this call too. So Sheena from my team, I'll follow up with you, Sheena, about talking about cameras. Like I said, we're not opposed, but we always just do so in coordination with the PD. So my next call would be to the police department.
Really appreciate
Tricia, I just want to say on this item, Tricia, I just want to say on this item, I've been working with the police about the cameras on the Esplanade. We've been working with Brian at the community as officer at the 19th, and actually that's going to be a question on the next item that comes up. So maybe we can get back and coordinate this once you find out what's needed for the camera, what type of camera and the power and everything, and then I'll take it up with Brian and we can get some costs.
Okay, that sounds great.
Because I know you don't have it in your budget. So we'll see if we can't find the money somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions on pickleball before
I think you have two hands raised.
I know, I see Jennifer. I'm not sure she's on pickleball. I just want to make sure that we get all the pickleball questions out. Okay, Jennifer.
So following up just on that one item about cameras. So we did receive that email, and just so everyone who's on this call is aware, Esplanade Friends has been working for years on the security camera issue. So like, just to say, you're going to go back with all due respect and look at it. We have been working for years on an issue a little bit further south where there have been multiple issues with vandalism, violence in the East 60s, asking for security cameras, probably about close to 100 times, met multiple times with the police department. And in fact, the funding was put in and there was a ribbon cutting with the Parks Department and the police department more than 6 years ago for funded security cameras. And I can't go into all the details, but for various reasons, there are no security cameras still.
Jennifer, excuse me, I have to interrupt you because I spoke with Michael Bradley this week of the Parks Department, and I haven't walked down to look. I just had the phone call. Apparently there is a camera at 60th Street, and they did put in a camera at 64th Street, and that's one of the questions we're going to ask HSS, our next.
We've been told that there, unless it went up in the past like 3 weeks or so.
I don't know when it went up, but I had this conversation this week, and he told me they're installed. So I have to go down and
well,
look.
they're not working. I mean, according to my conversations with the police department. So,
well,
I just spoke with them.
Jennifer, let's put this off for now. Let's check on it, and you and I can talk offline, and I can follow up further with Michael Bradley if they're not working. Okay, and the police. Okay.
I'm here, Judy. I'm looking for the raise hand signal.
Yeah. Okay, Michael. Nice to see you.
If nice to see you. If I could jump in without being invited just for a second.
Sure, go right ahead.
I thought we were discussing emergency call boxes, and that's what I said had been installed.
I'm sorry. I apologize then for misstatement, but Jennifer, I will continue to follow up and I will get back to you. Okay. Thank you, Michael, for straightening that out for me.
Sure.
Okay. We have Elaine Reitman. Can we unmute her?
Hi. Yes, hi. I'm a member of, live in Community Board 8, and I'm a football player. And I just want to thank Tricia for bringing up what's been going on at Culture Park. And I think the solution that she is suggesting and recommending is a good solution to put up nets that are belong to the parks, because there's no ownership over the nets. And having the fencing, I think, is also good because it helps protect people from balls. We have soccer balls coming onto the court, our balls go over on the other side. So that helps sort of contain some of the different activities. So I just want to say thank you for bringing that up and having this meeting with the solution. I think most of the people that play pickleball at Cultural Park will be very happy to hear this and feel that it'll be very helpful for the entire situation. And the idea of having a security camera would be great. So I know that's something that has to be worked out budget-wise and with the police, and it's always a little bit more complicated than everyone would like it to be. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you, Elaine. John, any other hands? Or Will, are there any other hands?
Yeah, Jennifer raised her hand again. I don't know if you want to go back to
No,
her.
I think we're done with the cameras for now. So I'll talk to Jennifer offline on that. Okay. I don't think.
Can I actually just say 2 comments on that, Judy, before you move on to your agenda? So one is, it would be great. I think it would be just really nice to get a resolution eventually from the committee. I very much respect if you don't want to do it until next month with regards to our kind of very basic proposal here. It's just nice because this is something new and it's not something that we're doing across the board, but I'd like to show Commissioner Donahue that there's some good amount of support for this kind of plan for the pickleball nets. So if you guys would just consider to do that, if you need to do it next month because you want to post it and do it that way, it's totally fine. I'm also happy to come back next month to talk about it. So just would love to, I think I really would like to have a resolution. And then on terms of the cameras, I totally hear it. Frankly, I don't know where we are with cameras on the Esplanade, but I can also, if I'm coming back next month to talk about pickleball, I'm happy to come back and let you know what I find out. Like I said, I'm not opposed to it. I don't know what the situation is, but I know I'd have to follow up with the PD.
I would be happy to pass a resolution on the pickleball. Will, can we do that if the item was not posted? Because we're not meeting in December. I think 8 and 11 may be having a joint meeting on the Esplanade in December. It's an 11 meeting. So we won't meet again until January. Is that too long for you to wait for the resolution, or do you?
Yes, only because I just want to purchase things in the winter for my budget stuff.
Okay, let's do the resolution, and I'll talk to Valerie about it. And if she says no, we can't bring it to the full board because it wasn't posted, then
No, it's fine, Judy. It's fine.
It's fine? You think it's okay?
No, it is fine. Yeah.
Okay. Does one of our Community 8 board members want to put a resolution on the floor? I can't see the hands, Will or John, so you're going to have to help me. Brad, go ahead, Brad. I see your hand. Brad Hurchins.
Hey, this is Brad. This is a really great initiative, and I'd like to make a motion to put this resolution on the table.
Okay, and the resolution is to go ahead with this pilot program, Trish? That's what we'll call it?
Yeah, we'll call it a pilot program to install removable pickleball nets.
Okay.
Owned by the Parks Department.
Okay. Okay. Board members, is there any discussion on this item? No. John and Will, you're going to have to help me with the hands because I can't see if any are raised.
Yeah, no one has raised their hand right now.
Okay. Well, then I call the question. If anybody is not in favor or is abstaining, will you please raise your hand?
And just for the record, we have Judy, we have Barbara, we have Barry, Bradley, Craig, Irma, Rita, and Sahar. If I didn't call your name, please raise your virtual hand to tell us that too. Irma, are you not voting? Irma, you'll have to unmute to let us know. Irma, look for the unmute button on the bottom of your screen. There you go.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so then it's unanimous. Okay, we'll be getting that off to you, if not this week, certainly by Monday of next week, Trish, okay?
Thank you so much, guys. And just to explain, thank you. I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure for budget reasons before the end of the year, I can get in some of my stuff and have it ordered and delivered by the springtime, and we'll move forward with that way. And just to also say before I stop talking, I'm here. I'm staying on. I understand that folks may have questions about the Esplanade too. So I'm here. So happy to continue conversations.
Okay, thank you very much for coming to us. We appreciate it. And now we'll move on to our second item, which is an update presentation on the Hospital for Special Surgery, on their building and the work on the Esplanade. And I see Melissa Kiefer is here. Melissa, I assume you're doing the presentation.
I'm Judy. Thank you for having me. All right, I'll pull up my screen. Thank you everyone for having me today. I know we've come a few times to update the community board on our Callan Tower project. And of course, I know you're all interested as the Parks and Waterfront Committee and our Esplanade improvements. So we wanted to make sure we came back this fall as we said we would. Wanted to provide a brief update on HSS since we last spoke to you all, I believe, in March of this year. Remind everyone of the project of Callan Tower that we are building over the FDR Drive. Some of the recent updated milestones. You'll see from some of these photos here that the building is pretty much fully enclosed other than a few planned logistical openings. Remind everyone of our communication resources if you want to learn more about this project, and we'll start publishing more updates as we get into the Esplanade work as well there. So open to you all, and then of course we'll get to the Esplanade. An update on HSS. We were ranked #1 in the nation for orthopedics for the 15th consecutive year, and top in the Northeast for rheumatology, and the best children's hospital for pediatric orthopedics in the U.S. News and World Report. We were also ranked #1 in the world for the 5th consecutive year by Newsweek. We also, something that I'm very particularly proud of, are able to bring more musculoskeletal care to thousands of teachers through the United Federation Teachers Welfare Fund, which is incredibly exciting. And as I'm sure we'll all see in the world moving forward more, we've pioneered some new uses of AI to help scientists improve rheumatoid arthritis treatment. So very excited for all of that and more to come, I'm sure, on what HSS is working on. To remind everyone what the Callan Tower project site looks like, here is a diagram. The bottom of the map is our main hospital building, which is located at 535 East 70th Street. We have an existing sky bridge over 71st Street that brings us to our ambulatory pavilion building. And catty corner to that, we have a Bel Air building, as well as a pop park, the Bel Air Plaza, which is currently covered in scaffolding due to the local law 11 that the condo building next to us is doing. Hopefully that will be done soon before the summer months. And then the Callan Tower building, which is going over the FDR. And we will also, as part of this in early 2025, be installing the new sky bridge over the 71st Street area on our 3rd level. The building, the Callan Tower, is 12 stories. It matches the height of the existing main hospital and connects to our ambulatory pavilion on several floors. It's about 94,000 square feet. It is allowing HSS to modernize our main campus and increase the number of private rooms that we're able to provide to our patients, which is the standard of care now, which we're incredibly excited to be able to do with some of our older facilities, and does allow us to start to use some of our main hospital spaces for more complex perioperative needs and inpatient care. Some of the recent progress and upcoming milestones that we've had as of the end of October. A picture here is of our west-facing facade of the Kellen Tower, where we've been providing prefabricated steel cold-formed metal framing and some of the curtain wall panels. We've continued with the scaffolding that goes on the east side so that we can finish cladding the Y columns that were in the project, and beautiful fixtures that hold up the building. We have new air handling units that have been delivered and in process of being installed. And throughout the building on the interior, now that it's primarily enclosed, we have all number of trades working on fitting out the building for our use. Upcoming milestones, we're expected to be watertight by the end of this month. And the sky bridge, as I mentioned, will be installed in early 2025 after the DOT embargoes, because it will involve some traffic closures. As a reminder, and we're happy to share these slides as we have in the past with this link, but there is a website for the Kellen Tower project. On that website, you can subscribe to a newsletter that goes out monthly about the activities that are going on around the Kellen Tower site. And as I mentioned, we'll start to do that for the Esplanade project as that gets moving in earnest. And we're also providing updates to some of our neighboring buildings. And if anyone is interested in additional information, please don't hesitate to reach out. So that's Kellen Tower, if anyone has questions on that. Otherwise, I'll get into the Esplanade update.
I think that's what we're really eager to hear.
Yes, I just want to check, Judy. So again, incredibly excited. The Esplanade Improvement Project is near and dear to my heart as we continue our investment on the Esplanade area. I am not a CB8 member. I'm slightly south, but I do walk the Esplanade from 53rd Street to the hospital every day now. So it is something that I enjoy and I look forward to reopening. We are, just a reminder, constructing the beautification from 72nd to 78th Street. We also previously restored the section, or previously beautified the section of 70th to 72nd. That has been disrupted by the Kellen Tower construction, so we will be restoring that area as well. Quinnell Rothschild and Partners has been our landscape architect, working with us and the Parks Department to make sure that we're using all Parks' standards in the design. We were also able to work in some of the fitness equipment that the community requested, so we're excited about that. And so these are some of the areas that we previously improved in 2018, and it'll be even better when we open the rest of it because it'll be brand new again. This is a few snippets of the design just to remind everyone what it looks like. We are adding a lot of landscaping, several trees. I think I counted 48 in our narrative that we're updating, so that's lots of trees. And then we will be putting down special flooring material for the fitness equipment, and of course, benches, lighting, and irrigation to make sure that that landscaping can be maintained. As a update on the scope and how we are thinking about phasing, which I know everyone is eager to know when we'll be reopening. The green area, which is overlapped by the yellow and purple in this diagram, is what we are looking to either restore or completely beautify. Just to orient everyone to this site, the purple piece highlighted is an area of overlap where Parks is doing a stabilization project to repair the seawall, which is incredibly important to make sure we can continue to use this moving forward. And then the orange area is the current Kellen Tower construction site, where we are using blocking off the area to make sure that, one, it remains safe, and two, using it to stage construction materials. As we go through, I imagine we will start to take over more of that going south so that we can improve the work as fast as possible. And then this red block here in the dotted line is the temporary pedestrian ramp. If anyone has been out there, it's an aluminum ramp. There's a photo here, and we will take that away and rebuild brand new the replica of the existing pedestrian ramp that was there before. So it will be in great condition there. It was more logistically and cost effective to replace the whole thing in kind. So with that, there have been some interdependencies that have changed and are evolving in terms of schedule. While we were looking to reopen the Esplanade as early in 2025 as possible, I do not think in talking with Parks and our Kellen Tower team that opening in the warmer months of 2025 is going to be possible. But that being said, we have really picked up on talking to the Parks Department and the Kellen Tower team on how we can be creative in solutions to get the Esplanade back to you all as soon as possible. Both Parks has hired surveyors to do some additional investigation of the seawall. Tricia, keep me honest there. And HSS has hired our own surveyors to make sure that we're walking around the entire scope of the Esplanade, see if we can identify any additional sinkholes and make sure all of those are addressed. And both of those surveys are being done this month. So our plan is to come back as soon as those surveys are done and we have the results. And I think, Tricia, we can give a joint update on where we are on schedule. And I know the other question that we've been asked about is there a way while we do the construction to be able to keep a pathway open to the public? And as I think I've responded to several members of the community, we've asked many contractors if this question and with very hopeful eyes. But it is just not feasible, primarily because of this area down in the south area. If you can imagine a New York City hallway in an apartment building, it's probably a little bit wider than that. But that's about the area that we have to work in, where we would have to let both pedestrians and bikers go by while also providing area for equipment and construction workers to go through. And that's just not logistically feasible to be able to do that and provide all the work, although we will plan to phase the work as much as possible to allow public access. But I hope that proactively answers a couple of the questions that I know the community may have.
Before we go to the community, let me ask the question which I keep asking, and maybe Michael and Tricia, you can give me an answer. Can we go back to that last slide?
Oh, sure, of course. Sorry about that.
Yeah. The purple area, that's where what we call the sinkholes are. And then going down to where the green are from 70 to 74th Street are more holes. Now that's what you're doing the study on. My question is, and I haven't gotten a definite answer from Steve Simon. He says, yes, he thinks so. But those sinkholes that your Parks is studying and the hospital is studying, will that be done at the same time as the purple area? And do you have the money to have, that's what we call phase 3, Parks to fix those holes, if they're major holes that have to be done, underneath?
Yeah, so the topside work, which Hospital for Special Surgery is talking about, is definitely connected to the structural work. So yes, we are trying to time all of this at the same time because it's important and because we understand that one's connected to the other. Yes, we are studying it right now. Yes, we have funding, but we have pockets of funding to fix the Esplanade, but without kind of looking at those like repairs and looking underwater. The kind of hesitation here is just because we're waiting to get those reports back to see what the severity is, what type of fixes are going to be needed, or is it something that we can fill? If we fill it with, I'm just suggesting this because this is another sinkhole somewhere else, but if we fill it with metal poles and cement, is that going to be enough, or are we doing something deeper underneath? So those kind of specific cost pieces are what we're kind of getting into the nitty gritty on. And Melissa's right with everything else. Right now I'm looking at a schedule of before Thanksgiving, having our divers in the water, looking at the repairs underwater. We're looking at having some additional consultants turning around some investigative work before the end of the year. So I'm really hopeful we're pushing this as hard as possible. We understand the need for coordination. And we understand the kind of need to get the Esplanade back on open to the public just as soon as possible.
So that you're going to try in January to send it out for bid, as I understand it. Once it goes out for bid, how long before they actually start to do the work? Because the hospital can't do anything until this work is really done. I mean, is this something that will be done by the end of 25? Or are we going into 26?
So I think, I mean, I can't really answer right now, Judy, until I find out what the repairs look like. I'm very sorry, and I should have started out this session by saying that, like, I'm not going to have all the answers to everybody's questions here. I can tell you that the most up-to-date information that I have is that our divers are going to go into the water before Thanksgiving. We're trying to get this kind of investigatory work done, turned around before the end of the year, so that we can make some decisions on next steps. Hospitals for Special Surgery and parks are in constant communication at this point about this work to make sure that the timing makes sense, to make sure that we're talking about when plantings make sense, when the season makes sense to be doing the topside work as well. So as soon as we have clear information, you can be sure that we're going to bring it over to the community board and to our elected officials. Melissa talked about walking from 53rd Street. I live on 72nd, as many of you know. So this is the work that faces our backyards. Not only is it our jobs to do it, but it's very and deeply personal. So definitely understand the need to get this done and do it well. But I'll also tell you that I was also the first one on site when the huge sinkhole happened, right at 70.
I remember.
You remember this? Barry remembers this. It was a huge panic moment for me. It was before, when I was just serving as chair of this committee. And so I also know what it looks like when we don't take these sinkholes seriously, when we don't look at it and look at the underlying problem, right? The sinkhole there was the size of a king-size bed. And I will never forget the terror that we saw there. Barbara, I remember talking to you about how it was just a light rain that brought that sinkhole around. So I'm very grateful that we're kind of doing this kind of research work underground, because it matters, and because we want to make sure that when we do open up the Esplanade, that it's safe and stands the kind of the test of time here.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Mm-hmm. So that was certainly my big concern, and I'm sure a lot of other people. Now, are there any hands up, Will or John, from the public? If so, would you call on them? And then we'll go to the board. I see a Henry from the public has his hand up. Maybe we can unmute him.
Hi, I'm a organizer of the Manhattan Greenway Facebook group. Got hundreds and hundreds of members, and I just wanted to clarify something. There's a real nice bike path that leads up to, it goes from 54th up to 71st. But are you going to continue a nice bike path when you finally get the repair work done? It sounds like 2026. Will there be a bike path running from 71st to 74th? Because that's the kind of the detoured area.
So I'll pull back up the screen, I am already having the screen up. So I believe, and Tricia and Michael, you know the park standards better than I do, but we're going to continue the paver pattern to outline where I think bicycles are meant to go in the darker area. That it mirrors what was done between 70th and 72nd, because this was designed a bit of time ago before the 53rd Street piece was completed, and to preserve the fact that it is more narrow than the 53rd Street area, which was able to build its own platform to house it. And so there'll be areas for bikes and pedestrians marked out with the pavers. Tricia, is that accurate?
That's great. Thank you very much. It can't be any narrower than 75th to 74th is right now, which is about 4 feet wide.
Yes, it will be wider than the Con Ed building to the FDR.
Okay, I saw Marjorie Russell, who's been very attentive. Marjorie, did you have a question? You have to unmute yourself, Marjorie.
On the bottom left.
In the bottom section where it has react.
Yeah, okay. Is that now good?
All right, good.
Yes.
Thank you. I think it's for Tricia, and that is whether the work that I learned about that needs to take place in the water under whatever it's called, Haskell Park, where the Alice Aycock sculpture is that coordinated with all these sinkholes? And are they connected? Do you know anything about it? I thought that work was going to be done this winter.
Oh, so you were talking about the work that when you walk underneath the Andrew Hassel Green area, the kind of big tunnely thing that it has.
Well, they found some problem in the river. That's all I remember knowing.
I can answer your question, Marjorie. The work on the pilings underneath that building is being done now as we speak. The EDC, I believe, did that part of the Esplanade, did the work with Parks, is working on that, and I don't know, maybe another year and a half before the work will be complete, but it's being worked on now.
Okay, because they were going to close a lot of the ramp so the cement
Oh,
trucks
no,
could get there.
This is under the piling underwater that they're working.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay. Jennifer Ratner, did you have another question for us?
Yes, so thank you for that presentation. And that comes from one of our board members on Friends of the East River Esplanade. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the board chair of Friends of the East River Esplanade. And so I just wanted to preface this by saying that the city gave HSS a really good faith loan of a highly used waterfront green space in a densely populated area that has very little parkland, and this is a linear waterfront. And so we entirely understand the need to close it, as was discussed, and we are thrilled that our pleas for fitness equipment are going to come true and it's going to be beautiful. And we're really, really excited about that. But there's a responsibility to the lenders. And so just as our other partner, Rockefeller University, stepped in and actually did the infrastructure repair a couple of years ago when they redid a large stretch of waterfront, we have been trying behind the scenes to ask HSS to do that infrastructure repair, because with all due respect, the Parks Department is going to take years to do that infrastructure repair. If 114th Street, which hasn't even started yet, is any indication, I have documents and historical knowledge that show that that was due to be repaired, completion of the repair in 2017. So, and the city controllers have shown again and again that unfortunately, while the Parks Department does amazing things in historic houses and keeping our waterfront clean and, with all kinds of programming and pickleball, et cetera, that they have a lot of trouble for various reasons, not because of the individuals involved here, but in getting infrastructure work completed. It's been documented that the delays are usually years long, 3 years and longer. So the fact that we don't even, there's no timeline, cutting off a contiguous waterfront for years, it's already been closed for years, and to add on to that more and more years where people can't bike straight through, can't walk straight through, can't take their kids straight through is really unfair to this community. And so we are imploring HSS to do the work itself. It's been shown again and again that when private partners step in to do it, it gets done much faster. And, it's a good repayment of this loan of really what is our land, meaning all of us on this call, all of us who live in this community and pay taxes in this community, we loaned it to HSS to build a 94,000 square foot building.
Thank you, Jennifer. Will, are there any other questions? Otherwise, I have a question for the
There
list.
is Yasmin has also raised her hand.
Okay, can we unmute Yasmin?
Muted? Here we go. Sorry, just while we're in the Andrew Haswell Park, I don't know if it's appropriate now to ask this. I'm a parent of 2 kids. I know many young children in the neighborhood, and we truly are in this specific in the 60s, so starved for sunshine and grass and fields. And it was just wonderful for this stretch of the park to open, but it feels like we're so close and yet so far because that green space is really not open. It's something that the neighborhood was very excited about. If someone could explain what the timeline is to actually make that green space open to the public, I'd appreciate knowing that. Thank you.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this recently. The green space that like on the steps, right? That's right there. Yeah.
The lawn, are you talking about the big lawn?
Both underneath the sculpture and the little spaces that say do not trespass or whatever it says.
Tricia, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but usually when the first year that's open, they like to keep it closed off so all the greenery takes hold. I think maybe that's why it's closed off now, to give it time for everything to take root, and then next year it'll be open to the public. Am I correct about that?
Thinking about this, I think that you're right, Judy, but you know what, let me follow up there. I was just wondering about this the other day, thinking about that lawn, and I too was over there and I thought, why is that sign there? So let me follow up with you. There are a lot of rules around this. I'll just a little bit more of like things I'm learning in parks. There's this whole thing where in the first year after construction, you know, as things are starting to take root, if something dies in its first year, then we are allowed to like go back to the contractors and say, look, you didn't do it right, or like something's wrong here. So we do like to try to take like, we really baby it in that first year or so, just because we want to make sure that like it stays. And like, if anything goes wrong, then like we want to be able to go back to those contractors and say like, no, you need to do this right, or need to come back and do it again. So I wouldn't be surprised to Judy's point if that's the way that is there. So I'm happy to follow up and see. I was wondering the same exact question. And then in terms of the lawn on top, this is something I was speaking to Friends of the East River Esplanade about. I know that it was closed down. We tried this year to open it up on kind of like a little bit of a contained basis. Again, we like to do things in baby steps here. I know that nobody likes how slow we go with these things, but it was really, during the pandemic, we saw that this lawn was just really destroyed. I don't know how old your kids are, how long you've been going there, but there was a lot of dog issues. There was a lot of like dying lawn sort of issues there. There's a lot of discussion there. And so I think that at least from the park's perspective, it was something where they had gotten it back into a good place, wanted to try to, again, baby it. I understand that everybody wants to have more lawn space. I totally get it. Again, we're the Parks Department. We like people on the grass. We like people in trees and outside and doing things. So we tried to open it up on like a little bit more of a contained basis. I feel like it's gone pretty well, and would certainly be open to talking about in kind of the next spring, trying to see if we can open it up more.
Okay. Melissa, I have a question I don't know if you know the answer to. Mike Rawlings was supposed to meet with Brian Larkin of the 19th and do a walk around about the cameras. Do you know if that happened in the last few weeks, or is
I
that
know that
something?
Brian reached out, I believe, last week, so we haven't scheduled it yet, but we have connected them with our security department and are looking to get that scheduled.
Okay, if you could get that scheduled in November, we'd really appreciate that,
We'd
because
love to get it done before Thanksgiving, so
right,
I'll follow up.
as you know, the cameras are prime importance
Yes.
to everybody. Okay, are there any board members that have any questions? I can't see that are there any board members with hands raised, Will or John?
I see Barbara has a, never mind, that's not a raised. But I know she raised her hand before. I believe it was
Well, does she have a question, Barbara?
No, she has the hourglass up, meaning she's
Okay.
away from her computer.
Okay. Then Jennifer, and then we'll go on to the next item. Jennifer?
So I just wanted to also point out that we've also just in the past week plus 1 to 2 weeks, launched a petition about multiple items, but primarily about the need to open the blockage in the East 70s as quickly as possible. And in just a very short time, we've got close to 200 signatures on this petition from community members that we are hereby presenting to the community board, to the Parks Department, to HSS, people really concerned and concerned enough to write to us and to sign this petition. And it just shows, and there have been on a lot of other forums, there have been people writing in about the same issues. And I just wanted to go to the issue with the green space also under Alice Aycock Pavilion. That was, we brought that to the attention of the Parks Department and the city council member during the pandemic, that area had gone from a beautiful green space to a dead brown lawn in just a few years, from 2018 to the end of 2020, 2021. And we discovered that the reason for that was not because people were playing on it or dogs, though that might have contributed to it a bit, but because when the contractors finished the renovation in 2018 of that area, after many, many years, the irrigation system was never hooked up. So we brought that to the city's attention, and we personally brought 75 to 100-pound valve boxes that we discovered alongside the contractors, and had those hooked back up, had worked with our city council member to implore the Parks Department to resod that area. And we were entirely cognizant of the fact that it needed to resod, and now that the irrigation was in place. But the issue is that now it resodded, and there is really no logical reason why it wasn't open all the time. We're happy it was open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but why it wasn't open all the time for people. We got a lot of complaints. We passed those on to the Parks Department. And, the West Side, Central Park has areas that are closed. They resod and then they reopen, and people enjoyed them all summer. Go up and down the Hudson River waterfront, and you could sit on the green grass all summer with security cameras looking right at you to make sure you're safe. And we deserve the exact same thing on the East Side without having to beg for it again and again.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. I'm sure Parks will be following up some of these items with me or with Sheena to give a report next month. Barbara, I don't know, does Barbara Rudder have her hand up, or is that, then can we unmute Barbara?
Yes.
Barbara, do you want to?
I am here. I clicked the wrong thing. I have been here the whole time and heard everything. Quick question that I should know the answer. The HSS, are they going as far as Con Ed?
Yes, we will pass the Con Ed building. It's actually in the middle of the scope that we are improving.
And doing anything with that area?
We will be replacing the pavers, and we have had a few conversations with Con Ed about if there are opportunities, but it's not necessarily within our scope, but we'll continue to work closely with Parks to maybe implore them to help out to improve the area.
That whole, what should be a grassy area. That's
the building, yeah.
Well, the building, but there's also like a dirt. It should be grassy, but it's not.
Yes, on either end, we will be adding, I can't remember exactly, but landscaping or pavers.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, I want to thank Melissa very much for coming to do the presentation.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to stay. We have one more item, a discussion, and I put this on the agenda, a discussion of potential resolution to advocate for restoration of parks funding in the city's November budget modification. Now, how this item came to my attention is I get emails from the League of Conservation Voters, and I'll quickly read to you 2 paragraphs that they wrote. Last week, the Fair Play for Parks Coalition got press coverage in the city after the city is an internet newspaper. After we sent a letter to Mayor Adams demanding the restoration of New York City parks funding, staffing, and resources necessary to ensure our parks are safe, clean, resilient, and accessible in every neighborhood. The New York City Parks was the only agency that did not have its funding fully restored in July. The budget was cut, a hiring freeze is still in place, and the agency has nearly 800 fewer workers than last year, which is unacceptable. So therefore, I thought we might discuss this, and if people want to pass a resolution, I wrote a resolution, I drafted up part of one based on what what they had to say. Is there anyone with any comments who wants to talk about this or wants to bring anything up? And Parks, feel free to chime in if you want.
Well, maybe I'll say one thing and then I'm gonna I'll be quiet for a second. So okay, so I'll do it backwards. So first, you know, just as a city agency, there's just some things that we can't say.
Okay, I know. So this is coming from the community board.
Yeah. So I appreciate though every conversation around budget and around resources. You're going to hear later from Sheena Kaufman on our team about kind of other updates and things that we're doing. And Sheena is really my go-to person when I talk to day to day about maintaining the park. But, you know, we're always grateful for more resources. And maybe I'll just say that, like, while you're considering about how Parks does our resources and how we do those things, would also point to you to the Vital Parks kind of thing that is online, because it's just helpful in terms of kind of comparing and looking at the Community Board 8 versus other community boards and that sort of work. You know, I'm going to, Judy, if you don't mind me saying one more thing before I go on mute, and I'm still listening, but I'm just going to go on mute. You know, I'm struck. I wanted to just reiterate that I hear everything that everybody's saying about parks going too slow, parks taking too small steps, like the process taking too long. And trust me when I say I understand. I get the frustration part of it. You know, I don't understand it all the time for why it's so slow, but it is, and there's a lot of extra steps. But I just want to reiterate that even with our strained resources, even when I would love more staff, or even when I would love more money to do more things in a quicker way, I'm very proud of you know, that we'll always be here. We'll always be happy to show up, happy to share with you the information that we have. When I tell you what I know, I'll be happy to do it. And when I can't tell you the answer, I'll try to explain to you why in the best way possible. So I get it. I get the frustration. We're working as hard as we can on our side to do it. And in terms of the strained resources, we're working on not only taking care of the property that we have, but expand it in many cases, which is insane, but also really important for areas around the borough and around the city that don't have enough. So, you know, I'm here, I'm still listening, and I'm appreciative of Judy leading this conversation around budget and around resources, because there are just some things as an agency that we can't really do. And certainly contributing.
And I think it's important that we come forward and try and help you in this respect, if it is any help. I see Rita has her hand up.
I support exactly what you said, Judy, in your motion. Would you?
No, I have a resolution if you want.
In your resolution?
I drafted up one if anybody wants to hear it.
Call the question, because I think it was excellent.
Oh, well, that's not my resolution. My resolution is much longer. Do you want me to read it or no?
Yes.
Okay. And this will go to the mayor. Whereas this year, despite repeated comments to Vest in Parks, Mayor Adams slashed funding for New York City Parks Department, resulting in the loss of nearly 800 staffing lines and critical programs. And I think that's really important because he was the one that said he was going to restore the parks line, and he didn't do it. Whereas New York City Parks was the only city agency to receive cuts in budgets, compounding decades of chronic underfunding. As a result, New York City Parks are at a breaking point. The agency lacks the staff necessary to maintain lawns, remove trash, clean bathrooms, as noted in a recent city council report, care for trees, natural areas, run the programs that families depend on, and enforce park rules. Whereas this continued divestment impacts the lives of every New Yorker and exacerbates the inequities in our park system. Our parks are the lungs of the city, our places for recreation and respite, our best defense against a changing climate. When parks are dirty and understaffed, the city feels unwelcoming and unsafe. Therefore, be it resolved, Community Board 8 stands with all New Yorkers in every corner of the city in calling on the Adams administration to restore fully funding the New York City parks. Does anyone want to make any changes, corrections?
I agree with that totally. And do you think about New York City's major import is tourism, and you can go to any major city in the world, and the parks are beautiful, but ours are not. So do you want to add, or do you don't think, if you don't think it's necessary, but I think that it is how we look to the world.
Well, I wouldn't. Some of our parks definitely need fixing up, but I wouldn't say all, Rita. So
no, but
I think what I said, he kind of will get the message from it, whether he will do anything with it or the council will do anything when they do the budget.
I agree.
No. I see Barry has his hand up. He hasn't spoken tonight. Can we unmute Barry?
And there we are. Good evening. I recognize you right away, Mrs. Schneider. Importantly, I support the resolution you read, and I would call the question on the resolution.
If you could just wait that until I call on Barbara.
Certainly.
Barbara?
I was going to call the question too, but I have a suggestion. Would you, I think that Valerie should, this is city-wide or certainly borough-wide. So please take that and spread it around and maybe get other community boards to sign it.
What I didn't say is, what we're hoping for is, and Felice is talking to Valerie about this, that when this is passed at our Wednesday night full board meeting, we're hoping that Valerie will then take it to the borough board meeting the following morning and try and get the other community boards and Borough President Levine's office behind this resolution and get them to act right away while they're working on the budget.
Well, then I'm seconding Barry's doing it, and he still makes me laugh. I have to say, recognize Mrs. Schneider. I'm glad I was muted because I was giggling.
Okay, well, are there any, if anyone wants to vote no or abstain, please raise their hand. And Barbara and Rita, take your hands down. Okay, now, if anyone wants to vote no or abstain, please raise your hand. John, is that unanimous?
That is unanimous. No one has raised their hand.
Okay, and do we still have Craig with us? I know.
So John, why don't you go ahead and read the names of the folks who are still here?
Yes. Barbara Rudder, Rita Popper, Barry Schneider, Craig Latter. Trying to find Sahar Bradley Hutcherson. I believe that's all the members here.
How about Irma and Rita is here?
Rita is here, yes.
Right, and Irma, our public member, is she still here?
Uh,
Irma
yeah.
Torres?
Um,
She was here earlier.
yeah, I don't see her here now.
It looks like Irma has left.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. I think it's a worthy thing to try and have Valerie take this down to the borough board. I'm assuming that the whole board will approve it. And now let's move on and get our reports from Sheena Kaufman, our district gate manager. Can we unmute Sheena?
Good evening, everyone. So I do have a bit of a good news for Rupert. After speaking with Steve this evening, he informed me that we submitted. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Oh, okay, okay. We submitted the revised storm water pollution prevention plan to DEP, which is now reviewing it. The process takes about 45 days. After it's approved, the project should be able to move forward to the procurement phase early next year. And where we would solicit bids for that, for Rupert. So we're making some good movement with Rupert. Hopefully by next year we'll have a answer and possibly a date by next year, hopefully. But we're in that phase right now. So I just wanted to bring that to you because I've been conversating with Steve off and on, for the last few months about Rupert, and we finally make some traction there. So that's really good. Good news. This weekend we have It's My Park Day. We're gonna have it at Samuel Seabury. We're also gonna have it at Rupert as well. Stanley Isaac. We're gonna have it there as well. The improvement on the East 66th Street Green Streets, the second and third Avenue, with new planting and fencing is work has started already. Today we had the AARP and DOT press conference at Honey Locust for pedestrian safety, which went well, which was definitely needed. That was a plus on their part. And that's about all I have for that. I think the big takeaway from tonight was Rupert. We're definitely making some strides, and hopefully when we back in January, I can have an even better answer for you.
Okay, well, that was a good report, and it's interesting to hear about the 66th Street Green Streets because Will Brightbill, you will remember when you worked for Dan Garodnick, he gave the money for the Green Streets, and I think that was at least 10 years ago. So I know I know Rita is very eager about Rupert Park, but we just have to keep plugging along. Eventually, it all gets done. Okay.
And then, so next, back in January, we're gonna bring you the vital parks because we knew things was happening and it was full. We're gonna bring you the vital parks to show you how our community is doing in District 8, which we're doing really good in a lot of in I should say more places are not getting as much as District 8 and 6. So we're doing really, really great. We don't have recreation centers in this area, like the commissioner said, but we have recreation centers close by. So I'll bring you the vital parks, and me and Mike McLean is here as well.
Okay. Rita, you have a question for Sheena? Rita?
Judy, you also have a hand up from.
Yes, I see from
okay.
Yasmin. Yeah.
Jeanette and Judy, thank you. I want you to know, I want you to know that it's appreciated. And the reason that we have so much is because of both of you. Thank you so much.
Well, we keep plugging at it. Yasmin?
Yeah, so again, I'm new to these meetings. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask this question, but 66th Street, Green Streets, it sounds wonderful. 24 Sycamore renovation, it sounds wonderful. But in reality, these parks, I believe, are completely surrounded by exhaust fumes from cars. And I wonder how much the city factors that in when deciding where to invest. You know, this is related to the MSK Pavilion, but within the community benefits agreement, apparently it was decided to invest millions into 24 Sycamore Playground, which is a child's playground under the FDR, behind the ramp off the FDR. And I really have a question about how the decision was made to invest money in this, as if, in my opinion, an investment would make it more attractive to parents, where no amount of investment is going to change the location. It is under the FDR, off the off-ramp. Would it perhaps be wiser to think about healthier environments to invest in?
Yasmina, let me just say, this park, 24 Sycamores, has
Yeah.
been there for a lot of years. It's
Yeah.
very well used. There's an upper part for the younger children and a lower part for the older children, and courts in the back. It's very well used by the community. And you're right. You are absolutely right. There's traffic, and no matter where you're going to build a park in New York City or in Community Board 8, you're going to have traffic, and that's going to be part, and you're going to have the fumes, and that's going to be part of how we live. It doesn't mean we shouldn't have any parks. What, Yasmin? Okay, Yasmin is muted. I'm sorry, you're muted, Yasmin. We can't hear you. Okay, does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, then let's go to Michael McLean for District 15, which is the Esplanade. I mean, not Michael, Robert. Sorry about that.
Yeah, actually, it's Robert and Michael.
Yeah, so I wasn't so wrong.
Robert was my birth name, but my dad's name was Robert. My grandfather's name was Robert. Our Labrador Retriever was named Bobby. So to protect the dog's hunting skills, they changed my first name to my middle name until I came to Parks. Oh, okay. Well, we have some, I would say the biggest challenge that we have in District 15 right now is at 24 Sycamore, the park, the playground. We have an ongoing problem with the bathrooms, and we've had the plumbers repair the bathrooms, I think, about a dozen times. And they've run the snakes through the pipes, the sewer pipes, and they've also put cameras through the pipe. But their equipment only goes 50 feet. And they think the problem is inside, underneath the York Avenue roadway, about 95 feet from the building. So what happens is the plumbers will fix the pipes at the playground. And then in 2 or 3 days, it clogs up again. And then the plumbers come back. They're unable to clear them permanently. So that's all I can tell you now. And then I'll have to talk to my superiors to see what's going to happen from now on. But for right now, the bathrooms are closed.
Can I ask you, because
Yeah.
that part of York Avenue is having the sewers and the water mains done from 60th down to 64th Street. Now the city is there working now, and if there's a problem, I think Parks should be coordinating with them. I can offline, I can give you the contact information if you want for that project, because I'm in
Yeah, that'd
touch
be
with
grand.
the
Just email me the contact person, and then the parks may be doing it now because the plumbers and the chiefs, etc., the commissioners aware of that problem. But I think the problem now is much more serious than we thought in the beginning.
Okay, well, we should just make sure that the people working on York Avenue are aware of the problem.
Yeah, email all me that information. I'll
I
take
will
it
do
right to
that.
the chiefs. The
I will
commissioners,
do
yeah.
that.
Okay, well, I have some good news. I was assigned the East River Greenway around April, I think. And we've been trying to get those, there's about 14 pedestrian lights that have been out for 7 months, I think. So the DOT contractors came a little less than 2 weeks ago, and they fixed all the lights. So the lights now are illuminating it during the evening, and they're burning during the day also, because the contractors are going to have to close a lane because the panel that needs repair is across the FDR. So they're going to have to close the panel. So, but right now the lights are working. They'll be burning daylight for maybe 2 weeks, they said, or maybe more. I'm working very closely with the PEP captain, Eddie Falcone, and we are getting regular PEP patrols through the Esplanade. They give, every time I get a message from the patrol officers, I'll kick it to the Friends of the Esplanade, and I can do the same thing to you as well. But they seem to be doing a lot of jobs. We had a little problems with vandalism in the beginning, twice, I believe. Some people were rooting some trees, and then initially we had some problem with the graffiti. But both the vandalism and the graffiti has been reduced, and the homeless issue also is being reduced. We have a couple of homeless people that are residents. They sleep in the Greenway overnight, but we're trying to get them help with the homeless services. And so far, we used to have a couple that lived in a tent. They have left. And then we have one person that's been in the park months underneath the 63rd Street pathway, the pedestrian pathway. So we have tomorrow, we're having our gardener and some assistants weed all of the gardening from the sculpture to the north, from the rampway down. And then, so he'll be there about 3 days. So about 6 people, 3 days, maybe another 4th day. But they're going to weed all those brand new plantings. And and then I think this summer, midsummer, we brought in some New York Cares volunteers. I believe their budget was $2,400. And we put about $500 worth of new plantings in 24 Sycamore. And then we took the balance up to the lawn up there underneath the sculpture. So we put in about 80 feet or so of new plants. And so what I'm going to do this spring is trying to bring in New York Cares people to volunteer to do the weeding, because we're going to be working from 53rd Street to 60th Street, all that new planting. So for the most part, the message was good, and I'll follow up on you. If you give me that contact, I'll follow up with my superiors and see what we're doing about the plumbing. But the plumbers are great. I talked to Scott Jorgen. He's honestly trying his best, but they just can't seem to get past this obstruction. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that report. We appreciate it. And we'll get you the information for the York Avenue project, people. And hopefully maybe the parks and them together can solve whatever the problem is.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay. Yasmin, you were cut off before. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
Yes, sorry. I just want to make a point here. Yes, there's always going to be exhaust, and there's costs and benefits of every project. But I do think children really suffer in this neighborhood as a last thought. We have many young children. I had my child in this neighborhood. I know from age birth to now 15. There's not many playgrounds for kids in the walking area for toddlers. The kids who are at 24 Sycamore, it's because it's not out of choice. It's because there's nothing else. And so when we're talking about massive budgets and the Esplanade, if there's an opportunity to correct this, I think please consider it. If there's an opportunity to make the Esplanade a much healthier environment with fresh air off the river and sunlight available to small children, rather than investing in a toddler playground under the FDR, I think people really need to think about it and take responsibility for the effect on their health. It's not inconsequential to be investing millions into a child's playground under the FDR. That's my only comment.
Okay, well, I just have to say on that, we haven't collected. We're going to start in January writing money. We have no money to finish that piece of phase 4 of Andrew Haswell Green. So if anyone has any suggestions of where we can get millions, that would be terrific. Okay, and Jennifer, for the last time tonight, what have you?
I'll second and third what Yasmin's been saying. As a pediatric oncologist and a pediatrician, I'm gonna, if I could applaud you out loud, I would applaud you on that. And that's why, just going back to the point of the green grass, we worked Esplanade Friends, our group, and we're not just me. I'm speaking on behalf of we have thousands of people on our mailing and social media following that are quite engaged. We get letters all the time from different people. I don't even know Yasmin, but we have letters from lots of different people asking for that green grass to be open. And we worked really hard to rectify the problem that was created, not by the particular people on here, but by the Parks Department not completing the irrigation job before. And once that new grass was in, we want people to be able to enjoy it. It's in an elevated area that seems much, much healthier. So it just really makes no sense to me. It's like a total lack of common sense. And you can look all around the city that we're being treated differently here at this spot right here on the east side. I just wanted to say to Robert Mike that I think he has 2 names because he does 2+ jobs. And I want to thank him for getting the lights turned back on, because it was like a real group effort of like a village of us working together to get those lights turned back on. And he was the head of the village, obviously, in that respect. But I want to remind him that the lights are still off in the East Harlem area. It is like pitch black for blocks and blocks in East Harlem now, also on the Esplanade. And it's a really well-used area. And we need to be proactive here along the waterfront for simple things like getting lights on. Need to be proactive before there were 3 bodies found off of that section of Esplanade in the past few months alone. And I don't know what the cause of those deaths were, but I've been trying to find out. But regardless of what they were in that area, and we don't need more. And we certainly don't want to put people in a dangerous situation where there are no lights when they're running and walking there. So I appreciate the lights going on, and would like the rest of them to go on too. And then the last thing is just to add to what you said about the plantings. We have a large crew of volunteer gardeners that does all of the plantings, just some of them up in the ACOG Pavilion to contribute, jointly with what the Parks Department does, but also in that whole area down by the dog runs is all done by volunteer gardeners, along with some other areas along that. We have an upcoming volunteer gardening event coming up to plant bulbs for the spring, if anybody's interested, although it may be at capacity, but that's coming up on the 24th of November. And we just recently did a corporate cleanup of the entire ACOC area. And in just 1 or 2 hours, Esplanade Friends and the corporate group collected bags of, I wouldn't even call it trash. Some of it was so mysterious that I actually don't know what it was that we collected. So we're always looking for groups to do more of those kind of corporate cleanups. Not only are they productive, but they're actually really fun. And I think the last corporate group had a great time. So that's all I had to say. But I just really wanted to second from a personal standpoint what Yasmina said.
Thank you, Jennifer. Faith?
Hi, Judy. So first of all, Judy and the whole Parks committee, thank you for all the work you've been doing for so long, fighting for parks in our neighborhood. Going back even to trying to get more parks in our neighborhood. It is not an easy job to get green spaces and more green spaces in our neighborhood at all. Like, this has been a fight for, I don't know, for decades and decades. So investing in all the green spaces we have is really important. And thank you to Trisha and Sheena and Robert and Michael and the team, because without, I think the resolution you guys did with respect to funding is really important. You know, Robert's report with respect to the PEP officers, that's a perfect example of why we need more funding, right? We're talking about safety, we're talking about PEP officers, we're talking about keeping lights on. The PEP office, like, the budget is, those are the ways to make sure the lights stay on. We get more PEP officers, and those are key. And thank you, Robert, for the lights, because I know just walking in the neighborhood, a couple of people have come to me knowing I'm involved with ESSA and the someplace parks about the lights on the Esplanade. So thank you for doing it. And Sheena, you always get props everywhere. Everybody loves you, Sheena. So thank you. It is a little disturbing that the bathrooms aren't working after we just had that seemingly 5-year renovation project, that the bathrooms are brand new and they're not working. But I think that was a good solution, Judy, to talk to the sewer people, since they are out there. So maybe we can get it a quick fix. But thank you for the work. And if we can get the parks that we have renovated now and keep looking for new green space, I think that's always a good job. But we don't have a green space in this neighborhood. So thanks all.
Thank you, Faith, for your comments. It's nice to see you here. I hope you'll join us again. I just want to mention that we are not going to be meeting next month. We've changed our meeting schedule. We will only be meeting twice every quarter, and December is the month we are not meeting. However, if the EDC is ready to come back with their final plan to Board 11 on December 5th, I believe is the date. We're going to try and do a joint meeting of 6 and 11 at 11, showing the space on the Esplanade from 94th up to 114th Street and the Bobby Wagner Walk and the pier. And they had told us back in September they hoped to have a final presentation in December. I don't know, Michael, you're looking kind of strangely. Are they not ready for that presentation in December?
Oh, you're asking me?
I'm asking Michael Bradley, who's in charge of the Esplanade for the Parks Department.
I needed to be unmuted. I am not in charge of the Esplanade, and I actually haven't worked on that project, so I couldn't tell you very much about it.
I thought you were doing the Esplanade around the whole city. That's not your...
No, that's a job for more than one person.
Yes, it is. That's why I was wondering. I thought you had the whole Esplanade. Okay, so you don't go up that far.
No, I mean, I hear people discussing it and see things, but I don't really know anything.
Okay,
Sarah
so
Nielsen, who's chief of long-range planning.
if in fact they are doing this piece, because 94 to 96 is Community Board 8, we will be posting it on the December calendar. I will check on it. And of course, we can't leave without hearing Mubin speak, because she's going to tell us all about her project on Saturday. Mubin, can we unmute her?
Hi, Judy. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
But thank you so much for giving me time. I'm sorry I missed a large chunk of the meeting as I was in another conflicting community board meeting, my own community board's meeting. But I'm glad to have got the tail end of the meeting. Thank you for your presentation, Sheena. Sheena already announced a little bit about Rupert Park. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mubin, and I'm with a nonprofit called Muslim Volunteers for New York. We're a non-sectarian apolitical community service organization, and we have been partnering stewards of Rupert Park on the Upper East Side in your district since 2017, and have been volunteering there since 2015. Sheena already mentioned that we will be having It's My Park Day at Rupert Park on Saturday. I invite all the members that are present here at this meeting right now, and hopefully Judy had sent you and Will the flyer, you, Felice, and Will the flyer and the registration link. If you can please circulate that or put it in the chat, I would much appreciate it. But I would encourage all of you to join us. It is a large park in your district. A lot of people use it. We are going to beautify it. There will be music. There'll be free refreshments. Obviously, we'll be planting the maximum number of bulbs we can. It's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's family friendly. It's completely free. We're very grateful for the support that New York City Parks, Partnerships for Parks, and Community Board 8 provide us for that. And of course, Councilmember Julie Menon, who patronizes the event and provides us funding to support that wonderful green space. So please come out. It's a lot of fun. We also provide an educational element for families to appreciate why we need to safeguard the city parks. And I think it's looking at all the signs of global warming these days, it's more important than ever to do all the work that this community board committee does, and all of us in various green groups do. So I look forward to seeing all of you. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Mubin. Okay, do we have any other hands raised, John or Will? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. One of our board members want to make a motion? Brad. Okay,
Hi, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Thank you for a great
Okay.
meeting.
And I'll second that. And thank you everyone for coming, and we'll let you know about the December meeting. It'll be, if we're having a joint meeting with Board 11, it'll be posted on our calendar, and the calendar will also tell you how to join the meeting. Okay, have a good night, everybody.